Welcome back to the Beautiful Mind Academy's Advent series. My name is Tierra, and I'll be sharing with you out of today's reading of Why the Nativity by David Jeremiah. And y'all, I'm so excited. I did not grow up learning about Advent or learning what it meant. And so being an adult, it's been this super cool discovery of just the fullness and the beautifulness of Christmas. And so I'm absolutely loving this study, and especially this one because I love that it starts with questions. Out of my own insecurities, I sometimes think that God would be threatened if I brought him my questions. Or if I ask God a question about something, that must mean that I don't trust him, or I'm just struggling to really fully give him control. But I found that is a very human way to think about questions. When in actuality, I think that our questions to God and the fact that we take our questions to the Lord actually shows that we trust him. For example, when I have a toothache, I don't go to my mechanic and say hey, can you fill in my cavity? Or if I have an oil leak, I don't go to the dentist and say hey, can you do whatever it is that fixes an oil leak? I don't do it that way. I go to the person who I believe can alleviate the problem that I'm experiencing. So I think the same is true. I think God is actually honored. It says that we trust him when we bring our problems, when we bring our doubts, when we bring our worries to him, because we believe that he can do something about it. And so I've loved that in this study, we're just intentionally asking questions and challenging maybe some assumptions or some things that we thought were true. And now we're getting to just study them in a deeper way. So I'm excited and expectant for how the Lord's going to speak to us today through chapter 21. So chapter 21, why do Anna and Simeon challenge us? This is a story of faithfulness rewarded, a tale that takes place where happy endings meet hopeful beginnings. Its characters lie neglected on the edges of the nativity story, just as they were in real life. To find and enjoy this tale is to discover one more gift under the Christmas tree, just when we thought our celebration was complete. The story begins at the temple in Jerusalem, one of the world's busiest places. Armies of priests hurry by, attending to sacred tasks. Pilgrims arrive from all points of the compass, eager to see the spectacle and worship the Lord. Here, within the Holy of Holies, dwells the Spirit of God. Only here can he be truly worshiped. We'll hear prayers and accept sacrifices. And here, of course, a number of local eccentrics are always on hand. Every public monument has a few. We tend to ignore these characters, just these men like Simeon. Simeon comes here several times a week. He is drawn to the temple almost magnetically by his devotion to God. Through the decades of his life, Simeon has clung to one assurance, that his old, tired eyes will look upon the Messiah before they close for the last time. The Spirit of God has whispered this promise to him. Imagine, he, Simeon, will behold the chosen one, and soon, it must be soon, because he is old and cannot hold on for much longer. Friends and relatives have gently reasoned with Simeon, but he pays no attention to their skepticism. The Messiah will come, and he, Simeon, will see him. For years he has watched and waited. The priests no longer even register his presence. To them, he is just some old man living under a delusion. Let him have his fairy tale, because it gives him something to hang on to. Today, Simeon cannot suppress his smile. Let people stare, for today is the second time that the Spirit of God has whispered to him. The message? Go to the temple, old friend. So here he comes, creaking along, panting for breath, clacking his walking stick on the polished floor. As he arrives, Simeon scans the activities of the temple. For some time, he sees nothing unusual. As a matter of fact, when the young couple arrive with their baby boy, he still sees nothing unusual. But he knows. The mother and father have brought their boy for his dedication. By law, all firstborn sons must be presented to God. This one looks like any other infant, but Simeon feels that warm, expansive sensation inside him again. That assurance that can only be the Holy Spirit. It bestows the sight that does not come through eyes. It tells his heart what it yearns to hear. Simeon hurried to the little family's side, clutching his walking stick with both hands. The parents seem startled by his attention, but slowly they relax. Joseph steps back as Mary smiles and gently offers her child to Simeon. The old man gazes in adoration at the soft, vulnerable bundle in his arms. A tear begins to wander through the deep wrinkle of his cheeks. When he holds the child aloft with trembling hands, bolstered by Joseph, the words begin to flow from him. They gush forth in such a way that they become a song, and all in the temple stop to hear it. Sovereign Lord, now let your servant die in peace, as you have promised. I have seen your salvation, which you have prepared for all people. He is a light to reveal God to the nations, and he is the glory of your people Israel. Luke 2:29-32. On this day, pilgrims and priests and passersby stare at Simeon as if he was seeing him for the first time. His melodious words bear a power and an authority no one has ever suspected, especially as he delicately returns the child to his mother. As Simeon does so, it is as if an invisible cloud has blotted out the sunshine that is the old man's countenance. Simeon is speaking gravely to Mary, and only those within a few feet can hear. It is about the child being beloved by many but rejected by others, about the child's ability to lay bare the truth of every human creature. His final prophetic comment brings a visible tremble to his mother. And just then, the second part of the story unfolds. A woman comes upon the scene and begins worshiping God in a loud voice. All the regulars know her. It is Anna, who is 84 years old and thought to be a prophetess. Some, like Simeon, frequent the temple. Anna never leaves it. For years, it has been her whole world, and people sense that no one could be closer to God than someone who has dwelt for so many years in close proximity to the holiest place on earth. They say Anna was once married, but her husband died before most of these people were even born. How many firstborn dedications has she witnessed? Yet she has never responded like this. What Simeon seems to know, she publishes abroad. She is telling everyone in the room that the Messiah has come. She tells about the future works of Jesus, God himself, the Lord of Lords, speaking through this faded, elderly woman. Mary and Joseph are smiling again, even laughing. Simeon is laughing too, and weeping. For years, people will relive this remarkable day at the temple. The joyful message comes through channels no one expected, not through the priests or the crowd favorites, but through two old, forgotten relics of good old-time religion. It comes to them simply because they have been faithful. And one more message resonates through the Nativity story that is filled with messages. The moral being that God rewards the faithful. The Christ child is a gift to all, and to those in the past as well as the future. But those who know him will tell you that some of the greatest joys of all are imparted to the wise, faithful servants that the rest of us overlook. And so when I think about why do Anna and Simeon challenge me personally, it's crazy that this question is being asked because the last couple of weeks, I've always seen this picture of me being older. Like I saw myself being like 80 on my front porch, just like rocking back and forth. And the question I ask myself is, what do I want that Tierra in 2070 to look like, to be like? And what decisions do I need to make today in order to get there? And so I love hearing this story about Anna and Simeon, who were in their elderly years, but yet such active participants in what God is doing in their life, and what God was bringing about, and active in the prophetic gifts, and active in just being in the house of the Lord. Like, that's who I want to be. Like, I want to be a vessel used by God. And so I think it's amazing that they were just all both so attuned to the voice of God. And so I just find myself just so challenged by that. And so I hope that you are encouraged by this hopeful message, and wishing you just the merriest of Christmas this holiday season. And so I leave you with a final discussion question, and that is, have you ever planned a special occasion for someone else? How did you go about doing it? And so thank you guys again. Take some time and reflect on that question, and we'll see you back for tomorrow.